Welcome to Mr. Chalk's Revision Tips. In this video, we will look at greenhouse gases, global warming, and some of the effects of global warming, and some more of the causes of it. A greenhouse gas is a gas that absorbs and emits radiant energy without thermal infrared range or within thermal infrared range. So greenhouse gases cause the greenhouse effect on the planet. So the primary greenhouse gases are water vapour, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxides, methane and ozone. So there are three important properties of greenhouse gas are the wavelength of the energy that the gas absorbs and how the energy it absorbs and how long the gas remains in the atmosphere. Greenhouse gas molecules absorb energy in the infrared region of the spectrum, which is generally associated with heat. Greenhouse gases have a far-ranging effect on the environment and health. They cause climate change by trapping heat, and they also contribute to respiratory disease from smog and air pollution. Extreme weather, food shortage, supplies, and increase in wildfires and various other effects can be linked to climate change. So if we look at this question very quickly, so which of these gases is a greenhouse gas? Just have a think about it. And so methane is our greenhouse gas. So carbon dioxide from burning fossil fuels causes global warming and is the process that we think is significantly increasing the rate at which global warming is happening. So when we think about describing global warming, we start off by talking about electromagnetic radiation at most wavelengths passes through the Earth's atmosphere. So the Earth absorbs most of the radiation and warms up. The Earth then radiates this infrared radiation back into the atmosphere. Most of it goes into space. However, some of the infrared radiation is absorbed by greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So therefore the lower atmosphere warms up. So if we're looking at describing how carbon dioxide helps maintain the temperature of the Earth, some of the key things that you need to think about talking about is that carbon dioxide allows short wavelength radiation to pass through. So the atmosphere is around the Earth's surface and that's what it's passing through, and carbon dioxide is absorbing the outgoing long wavelength radiation, so the infrared radiation, so therefore is warming up. Global warming is defined as an increase in the Earth's average surface temperature due to rising levels of greenhouse gases. So while climate change was a long-term change in the Earth's climate or a region on the Earth, data for global warming can be shown easily using graphs. So the planet's average surface temperature has risen about 0.9 degrees since the late 19th century. The change is driven largely by an increase in carbon dioxide and other human-made emissions into the atmosphere. So, for instance, the Greenland and Atlantic ice sheets have shrunk drastically over a short amount of time. So, if we think about some questions, so carbon dioxide is also a greenhouse gas. The figure below shows how it's changed over time. So give three conclusions that could be made about this figure. So it's important when you're looking at graphs to make sure that you don't just go and look at it for a very, very short amount of time, then make assumptions. Actually look at the graph and talk about the data it's showing. So three things that you could say is that carbon dioxide concentration stayed constant from 1850 to 1900. Carbon dioxide concentration slowly increases from 1900, and carbon dioxide concentration is increased more rapidly from 1965. So you've made sure that you're talking about the dates and such forth shown on the graph. So the graph shows the changes in global warming, or the temperature, to the mean sea level from 1992 to 2016. So calculate the mean yearly increase in the sea level between 1992 and 2016. Well, the way that you would do that would be to go and work out what the total change is, which is 72, and divide that by the 24 years to give you 3 millimeters a year on average. So if we look at another question, so the figure below shows a change in mean global air temperature from 1860 to 2000. So explain how human activities have contributed to this trend. So some of the things that you could talk about is the general increase in temperature is caused by an increase in greenhouse gases, so which is caused by an increase in burning fossil fuels. You could talk about deforestation, also leads to more carbon dioxide. An increase in having cattle has increased the amount of methane that they produce, and the use of landfill also causes a greater amount of methane to be released. So if we look at a few factors, so causes and effects of global warming. So you find rainforests in areas near the equator. So rainforests absorb carbon dioxide, so they reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. However, if they're being cut down or burnt, they have less of an effect on that. Carbon dioxide is also absorbed by the sea, making the sea a carbon sink. Organisms that make up things like coral reefs use carbon compounds found in the seawater to go and build large limestone structures that make up the coral reef. So they also act as a carbon sink, so that's reducing carbon dioxide. Organisms living in the water can also be compressed under sediment over a long period of time and turn into oil. However, when we burn that oil, the carbon dioxide is released back into the atmosphere. So if we go and look at some more effects, as the atmosphere has increased, the ice caps have started to melt, which has increased sea levels. Remember that volcanoes eject a large amount of gases, so carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere that will also go and add towards climate change. The higher the population, the more power stations we build. Lots of power stations, especially older ones, will burn fossil fuels, which release carbon dioxide. So it's worth remembering that as things are launched in space, that releases a large amount of carbon dioxide. As sea levels rise, low-lying areas will also get an increase in flooding. As temperatures rise, we get more extreme weather conditions. As the population increases, we'll be using more cars, which burn fossil fuels, so release carbon dioxide. As temperatures increases, large deserts will also increase, and we'll also get more droughts. So another big contributor to carbon dioxide levels is shipping around the world, because as ships fuel burns, it releases carbon dioxide. In the same way as shipping releases carbon dioxide, air transport, so planes and such, will burn kerosene, which releases a large amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The greater the populations become, the bigger the cities get. The bigger the cities, the more energy they need, so the greater their reliance on energy produced by fossil fuels.
Thanks for watching.